The gates clanged behind me, and for the first time in 7 years, the air didn't smell of iron and sweat, freedom, or something pretending to be. I walked straight to the cemetery, flowers clutched like a peace offering. Her grave was supposed to be there. My wife, my ghost. I knelt, pressing the bouquet against cold stone. My fingers lingered on her name, etched in silence, carved into absence. Then I saw her, a girl, the guard's daughter, half hidden behind the oak, watching me with eyes too sharp for her age. I smiled faintly, held out candy. She approached slowly, as if the secret in her chest weighed her down. When she finally spoke, her whisper split the world in two. "Uncle, there's nobody there." Her hands trembled, her eyes didn't. "Want me to tell you a secret?" And in that moment, I felt the first crack tear through the coffin I had been forced to live inside. I stared at the empty patch of earth. No fresh soil, no flowers wilted with time, no sign of a grave ever dug. 7 years inside, and I had held on to one thing: that she had died while I rotted. That grief was the currency I paid for my sins. But the girl's words carved deeper than any prison shank. No grave, no wife, no death. At first, denial rose. Maybe the stone had been moved. Maybe she'd been buried elsewhere. I wanted to believe the system had misplaced her body the way they had misplaced my life. But the silence around me told a different truth. Her absence wasn't a mistake. It was deliberate. The little girl's voice echoed in my skull. "There's nobody there." My wife hadn't died. She had vanished. And the world had let me believe otherwise. I didn't rage. Rage is sloppy. Rage gets you locked up again. Instead, I traced the faintest threads of her life. I visited the courthouse, searched records, found nothing of her death. No paperwork, no burial certificates. Then I followed the paper trail she hadn't erased. Bank transactions, addresses, changes in identity so careful they almost slipped past me. Almost. She had built a new life while I was caged. A life with someone else. Each detail I uncovered was another nail, another twist of the blade. At night, I replayed the last memory of her. The tears on her face as they dragged me away. Her promise that she would wait. Lies. She hadn't buried me in her heart. She had buried me in the world, alive but forgotten. I told no one of my search. To the outside, I was just a man adjusting to freedom. Inside, I was dissecting every shred of evidence with surgical precision. I didn't want justice. I wanted truth. And truth has a way of bleeding the guilty dry. I found her, not in a grave, not in mourning, but in a quiet suburb, wearing a new name, carrying a new life. Children that weren't mine. A man's arm around her waist. The same man she had sworn was just a friend before my trial. My wife hadn't died. She had killed me. Not with a weapon, but with silence. She let the world believe I was guilty, let me rot behind bars while she built paradise on my bones. I didn't confront her then. I watched. I studied the way she smiled when she thought no one from her past could see. And in that stillness, I knew. Her betrayal was complete. I waited until the night her husband left town. She came home to find me sitting at her kitchen table. Flowers, the same kind I had left at her grave, rested between us. Her face drained. She whispered my name like a curse. I slid a folder across the table. My notes, my evidence, proof that I had uncovered every corner of her lie. 7 years, I said quietly. I mourned you for 7 years. She broke instantly. Tears, apologies, frantic hands reaching for me. I didn't touch her. I leaned back, let the silence devour her words. She knew then what I had become, something colder, sharper than the man she remembered. My revenge wasn't violence. It was clarity. I had returned not to reclaim her, but to let her drown in the mirror of what she had done. I left her there, shaking on the kitchen floor, surrounded by the flowers meant for her grave. I didn't need to raise my voice. The weight of truth was heavier than any punishment I could invent. As I stepped into the night, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Freedom. Not the kind the prison gave me, the kind betrayal gifts when it strips away illusion. She had buried me alive, but now I had dug myself out, and I would never return to her grave, because she was the one already buried, alive, but buried in her own lies.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and comment. Subscribe now to Cheating Stories Insight World for more amazing stories.